In this video, I'm gonna talk about the tentacles. So here I'm using a drill and I just put a hook in it. So it's an actual crochet hook. I'm gonna show you. So if you don't have any hook that fits in the hole, so I'm just gonna remove this one here and show you. So this was actually a broken hook. The handle was a ergonomic hook that I just pulled off so I could use it with my drill, but this hook is a little too small for 2 strands of Sweet Snuggles light yarn. So I'm gonna show you something else that you can do if you don't have any hook that fits in the hole. So instead you could use an actual tip for the drill, put it in, and then I'm gonna tape the hook I want to be using. I'm gonna tape it to the tip of the drill. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So this is just a 9mm crochet hook that I'm taping on top of the tip, and I'm just using regular Scotch tape. So it looks like this right now. I know it's pretty secure, so whenever I'm gonna turn on the drill, it's gonna stay there, and it's big enough to hold the 2 loops that I want. Now you want to know the length of the tentacles you're gonna make. So it depends of the yarn that you're using. So I recommend measuring the head of your squid and then do 5 times that length. So for example, here my head is 5 inches high. So I want the tentacles to measure 25 inches. So I'm gonna show what I do. I'm gonna show you what I do to make that very simple. So I'm gonna measure 25 inches, and then I'm just placing a Scotch tape on my table where I'm working. So I know this is gonna be the start of the measuring, if you want to call it like that. And then I'm gonna measure it all the way up to the end of my table, which is gonna be 25 inches. So you could do that for every style you want to do, and this will give us tentacles that will be twice the height or the length of the head. Okay, now let's start. So I have my head over here. I'm gonna flip it upside down, and I don't know if you can see on video, but here are my back loops. So I'm just gonna go at the back of the head, so the eyes are on the other side, and I'm gonna insert my crochet hook in one of the back loops at the back of the head, just like this. And then I'm gonna place both my yarn tails, or whatever you want to call it, yarn strands, on top of my hook, and then I'm just pulling it through. So as you can see here, I'm using 2 strands, like I said, just because I want the tentacles to be a little thicker. And then for the next step, I'm gonna go into the next back loop of the head, and I'm gonna slip stitch there. And here we're ready to work our first tentacle. So I'm just gonna take off my hook, and then it's time to measure our 25 inches. So I'm just pulling on the yarn until I have the right length. And like I showed you before, I'm just gonna measure it, so from the tip of where I'm holding right now all the way up to the head. And I'm gonna use the Scotch tape on my table just to make sure I have my 25 inches. That's gonna be super important because you want the tentacles all to be the same length, except if you want to give it another style, then you can play with the length. So once I have my length, I'm gonna hold the yarn tails, or the working yarn, so I can have a tension. So now I'm gonna place, it's really hard for me to film this, but I'm sure you can understand. So here I'm gonna place my 2 loops, not just one. I'm gonna place both my loops, or my strands, on the hook on my drill, just like that. And like I said, I'm gonna keep a tension in the yarn, so I'm just holding with my other hand, I'm holding the head, so I have a nice tension in my yarn, and so it's not falling when I'm gonna turn on the drill. And now it's time to twist it. Okay, and now the result that we want is exactly what you see here. You want to make sure that all the strands is looking like this, so it's all twisted, and then you're going to be ready to take your other crochet hook, or the hook that you were working with for this project, And then you're gonna pinch the yarn and you're gonna take it off, so you make sure that it's all twisted here. And then you're gonna pinch the end and you're gonna take it off the hook that is on the drill, and then you're gonna place it on the hook that you have in your hand. And make sure that you don't leave this go, and this is normal. If it's twisting, that's normal. Just don't leave it. If you release that pinch there, you're gonna lose your twist. So now that I have my crochet hook inside the loop, I'm just gonna find the next back loop in the head and I'm gonna slip stitch there. So in the back loop, and then pull through the 2 loops on your hook, and then you're gonna find the next back loop in the head and you're gonna slip stitch into it. And don't worry here, as you can see, the tentacle is not perfectly twisted. It's normal because we still have one step to do. But I just like to do all these steps now, and then we're gonna finish with the other one just to finish up these tentacles. And now, like I said, I'm gonna slip stitch into the next back loop of the head. So just make sure you're not skipping any back loop, because you have a total of 16 to work with and you have to make 8 tentacles. And now I'm ready to do another tentacle. So for this one, I'm just gonna speed up the video so you can see what it looks like. And now I'm just slip stitching into the next 2 back loops. And I'm gonna repeat this around, so you should have a total of 8 tentacles, and then I'm gonna show you what to do next. Once you're done with your 8 tentacles, you're gonna slip stitch 2 again, and the last slip stitch of that round should be in the first slip stitch where you initially join the yarn. And then you can cut your yarn and pull it through. And here, if you want, you can bring all tails together and tie 2 knots, or you can simply hide the yarn tails in the head. It's already secured because you slip stitch to start with and you slip stitched to finish with, so this gives you knots. But if you want extra secure to it, then you can make another knot. And now I want to show you the difference between 2 styles. So these tentacles here are all done. I already did the last step, and these ones here, as you can see, are not done. So you still have one step to do, which is pretty simple. So I'm just gonna untangle them, and then we can finish these ones up. So for this last step, you're gonna take 1 tentacle, you're gonna entangle it or untwist it, and then you're gonna place it on the crochet hook that is on your drill, and you're gonna push the button that is on your drill. I guess all drill are pretty much working the same, but you just want to make sure that the drill will rotate the other way around. So if, for example, your drill was going clockwise, then you want to switch that so it's going to actually turn the other way around. So you want to make sure that you do that, and then you're simply going to twist your tentacles once again until it's all looking good, and then you can simply take it off the hook. As you can see here, it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to take it off the hook, and then you can just release it or leave it, and then it's going to... And now you have these beautiful twisted tentacles, and you just want to repeat that for all the tentacles until they're all looking good. And now I'm all done. I just need to hide the yarn tails inside the head, and that's it. Your squid is done.